Today we were looking at lesson 1.3, which was simplifying expressions using the order of operations and evaluating expressions. Okay, so in number 19 we're going to use the order of operations to simplify this expression. First thing we said we need to do is to simplify within any grouping symbols. So number 19, you have grouping symbols parentheses. Inside you have 4 times 3. So that's going to be the very first thing we need to do. So 4 times 3 is 12. What I would recommend doing is to go one step at a time and then bring down all of the pieces of the expression that you didn't use and then find the next step in the order of operations. So we have 12, we have an exponent of 2, and we have a times 5 that we haven't used yet. Okay, so now we have 2 operations left. We have exponents and we have multiplication. Well, the order of operations says that we're always going to do exponents before we multiply. So we need to say 12 squared, which is 144. 144 times 5. Then if we multiply that, we get 720. Now I encourage you to learn how to do this by hand, because many times you will be asked simply what is the first step that you would take in simplifying this expression rather than what is the value of this expression. Also, though, be comfortable typing this directly into the calculator as it appears, as that is a way to check to make sure that you have done it correctly. But don't just simply rely on typing all of this information, that entire expression, into a calculator. Okay, so that's number 19. Number 20 on your homework looks like this. We have in brackets, we have 7 times 2 minus 4, and in the other set of brackets we have 9 plus 8 times 4, and then we're adding them together. Okay, so we said grouping symbols include brackets, parentheses, braces. It can even be a fraction bar. In number 20, we have 2 sets of grouping symbols, so we're going to simplify inside of each of those first. Alright, well in number 20, we have multiplication inside one of those sets of brackets, and we have subtraction. So we need to do the multiplication first. So 7 times 2 is going to give us 14. If we go one step at a time, then I have 14 minus 4. In the first set of brackets, I'm just going to simply bring down the 9 plus 8 times 4 in the second set. Okay, still in that left-hand set of brackets, 14 minus 4 is 10. At that point, I can just leave the brackets off because we're finished simplifying inside of those brackets. Okay, on the other side, let me go ahead and bring this down just to be consistent. 9 plus 8 times 4. Over here on this right-hand side, again, we have 2 operations inside the brackets, so I'm going to do the multiplication before I add. So 8 times 4 gives us 32. I'm going to bring down the rest. 9 plus 32. Don't forget about your 10 plus that we've already simplified. 9 plus 32 is going to give us 41. Bring down the rest. 10 plus 41 is going to give us our answer of 51. Okay, again, we can enter this directly into the calculator. Again, the calculator doesn't mind if you do parentheses instead of brackets. It's going to handle it just fine. So 51 should be the solution for number 20. Alright, in the next section on your homework, you're not just using the order of operations, you're going to be evaluating expressions. When we're doing that, it gives us an expression, x squared minus x plus 6 over x plus 3. It tells you that it wants for you to use the value of 3 anytime you see x. So if we see x squared, then we're going to have 3 squared. Minus x, we already said that x is 3, so minus 3 plus 6. On the bottom, x plus 3. We already said that x is 3, so 3 plus 3. Alright, okay, we said a lot of people don't think of a fraction bar as grouping symbols, but we're going to. We need to simplify on top of the fraction bar, simplify on the bottom of the fraction bar. Okay, on top, if I'm just looking at that by itself, 3 squared is what we need to do first because exponents come before subtraction or addition. So 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 plus 6. Okay, if I go ahead and simplify that, 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Just for the sake of time, or for the sake of space, I'm going to simplify that process and just put 12 on top. Okay, on bottom we have 3 plus 3 is 6. So on the bottom of our fraction we're going to have 6. So 12 over 6, if we reduce that, we're just going to get our answer of 2. Okay, we looked at a way of simplifying, well, not simplifying, but checking these that involve storing a value in the calculator. Now, while this may seem a bit useless at this point in time, okay, we will be storing values in our calculator throughout the semester. So what we can, or throughout the year. So what we can do in our calculator, just to check to make sure that we're correct with our answer of 2, is we can tell the calculator that anytime we enter x, we want for it to equal 3. The way I can do that is to push 3 and then store and then x and hit enter, and it confirms that you have stored 3 for x. And then we can enter this expression exactly as it appears there. Now, we said in class today that it is never a bad idea, if you have a big fraction like this and you're using a calculator, to put the top in parentheses, to put the bottom in parentheses, just to make sure that it is giving you the answer, or that you are telling the calculator what you're meaning to tell the calculator. Alright, so once we have that, then I'm going to simply enter that fraction in our calculator. We have parentheses, x squared minus x plus 6, close parentheses. Then we have our fraction bar, which I'm going to use the division sign for, and on bottom we have open parentheses, x plus 3, close parentheses. So it looks like that, if you can see that. When we hit enter, we get 2. Okay, so when we evaluated the expression by hand, we got 2. When we evaluated the expression by storing values in our calculator, we got 2. Alright, we have one more problem that I'll do today, and that is number 28. Number 28, we are also evaluating expressions. Okay, the only difference on number 28 is that now we have more than one variable that we're evaluating it for. On number 26, we just had x. But on 28, we have a v, we have an x, and we have a b. Alright, a bunch of the students today said that anytime you substitute a value in for a variable when evaluating an expression, it would be a good idea to put that in parentheses. Okay, that's true. When I have 4b, I know that b, it told us in our directions that b is going to be 5. So if I have to put that in place of b inside these parentheses, I'm going to do 4, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the 5 inside parentheses also. Okay, we're told that the x in the directions is 3, so I would do 3 cubed minus 4 times 5 inside those parentheses. Okay, on the outside we have v squared. It tells us in their instructions that v is 5. So I would say 5 squared minus, and then everything that we had in parentheses. Okay, at that point you can simplify it by hand. We have grouping symbols. So inside the grouping symbols, we're going to do 3 cubed. That's 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And then I'll bring the rest down for now. Okay, once you get more comfortable with this, you can skip a couple of steps. Just be sure that you are not making careless mistakes. Inside the parentheses still, now we have subtraction, we have multiplication. Well, I'm going to say 4 times 5, that's going to be 20. So now we have 27 minus 20 still inside the parentheses. 27 minus 20 is going to give us 7. So now we end up with 5 squared minus 7. So we have exponents, we have subtraction. Exponents is going to be 5 times 5 is 25 minus 7. When we subtract that, we should get our answer of 18. Alright, just like we did in the last example, we can store different values for these variables. Okay, the variables that we're using in this problem are v, x, and b. Okay, it tells us that we want for the calculator to know that when we enter v, we want for it to be 5. So I can, in my calculator, do 5, the store button, and then alpha v. Looks like that. 5 store alpha v, and hit enter. Okay, we also know that we want x to equal 3. So I can use the x button here, x store 3, enter. Uh-oh, it says syntax error. So I didn't put that in correctly. That's what we talked about in class. We have to put the number first. So I'm going to do 3 store alpha x. When we hit enter, it stores the 3 for us. And the last variable we need to use is 5 in place of b. So again, I need to enter the number first and then store an alpha b. Kind of tough to see. Hit enter and it confirms that it is using 5 anytime it sees b. Alright, so once you have that, now we can enter this expression exactly as it appears there. Again, this is just a way to double check that 18 is the correct answer. So v squared, I need to do alpha v squared button minus parentheses x to the 3rd power minus 4 alpha b. Close parentheses, hit enter, and we get 18. So we got 18 when we did the problem by hand. We got 18 when we confirmed it with the calculator. Okay, so please just be sure on your homework that you are not relying simply on your calculator to give you the right answer. Be sure that you are substituting the values in and simplifying it by hand, and then just checking with a calculator.